Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Cabinet. First item on the agenda is the evacuation procedure, but looking around, I'm sure everybody knows that already. Apologies, we've got no apologies, the whole Cabinet is here. Declarations of interest, do we have any further ones in addition to this? No? No, thank you. Minutes. Is it agreed to confirm the minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 14th of March 2018? Agreed. Public consultation.
Chair, we've received from the Speaker and Councillor Condarca for item 6.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to then, I'll leave Councillor Lloyd to present the report on item 6, and then I'll ask Councillor Condarca to speak.
Thank you, Chair. In January 2017, Cabinet adopted the sports recreation and community facilities, along with the playing pitch strategies. These strategies actually provide a medium to long term action plan for the Borough Council's delivery against using the data and the information obtained from the actual strategies. The action plan also highlighted the shortfall in leisure provision at present and taking into consideration the future housing development growth. This information from the strategies has been used to evidence for the Borough Plan and also seek future 106 and SIL housing development contributions. At the moment, at the meeting in January 2017, a further recommendation was approved to set up a cross-party members working group to review the action plan and provide strategic direction and guidance on the future delivery of it. The current position, members working group, is completed with the following 5 areas identified as priorities for the future leisure provision: the wet centres, indoor sports hall provision, community facilities, cycling facilities and athletics being identified. The playing pitch action tables in the report review all the borough's venues, providing priority ranking and consolidates facilities as key sites, reviewing all the other sites and future need or opportunity for the partnership working, with financial savings at all time being fundamental. The 2 strategies are being used as evidence to negotiate with housing developers for potential 106 and SIL payments towards additional leisure provision, where the needs can be evidenced through the strategies. Contributions from the developers are dependent, though, on the sites being developed and the houses being purchased and new owners actually moving into them. Agreements for the contributions can only take several years to come forward. The Borough Council needs to develop its future leisure and playing pitch medium long term and plans based upon evidence provided by these strategies to gain maximum opportunities for seeking developer contributions, working with partners and other external funding organisations. The review of the Borough Council outdoor facilities has taken place and has identified key hub sites required to meet the needs of the going forward. These are focused on the refurbishment, development and extensions with the available resources that are there. There is shortfalls in the leisure provision going forward due to the future housing. These are centred on the water space, indoor sports hall provision, and this includes obviously the health and fitness, table tennis, indoor activities, etc. like that. Hub sites, cycling and athletics. The report identifies in Appendix B to support the shortfall how these could be accommodated and developed with the potential partners to maximise the council's resources and external funding. For example, investing partnerships opportunities with Warwickshire County Council, re the proposed Northern secondary school site, and enhancing leisure provision at this site, with the Borough Council's SIL money, 106 or SIL money. Local development sites can provide new sports provision available to those local residents. So it brings me on to the work that's been done. I mean, the work that was been done through the working party, I think is an excellent piece of work. They've used the strategies, they've worked through them, and obviously they've shaped this report. It's something we haven't had before, and Kevin and his team, along with the working party, as I say, have shaped it. And it's about, at the end of the day, making opportunities to create better facilities, extending facilities like Nuneaton swimming pool, Bedworth swimming pool, for example. And I'd like to take you to the recommendations that are on page 11 and move those recommendations, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Kondaka.
Thank you, Chair. I've been speaking in front of you for 12 years now, so this will be my last opportunity to get some points across. On the positive side, this document mentions cycling, and there's a massive need for cycling provision in the borough, both for transport and for recreation. And there's a massive regeneration going at the Judkins site. You know, we're going to fill in the landfill, and there's potentially some housing development at the bottom of Tuttle Hill. So I think we should look at something spectacular for the provision of cycling, and maybe tie it in with the filling in of the quarries at Judkins and the reuse of the land there. So that's on the positive side. On the negative side, a lot of this has been driven by housing which is coming into Wellington, St Nicholas, housing that is being built in Camp Hill, and housing that's being built out in Galley Common at the moment. And it is regrettable that there's been gerrymandering of where the funding line's drawn to divide the borough into north and south. The borough plan and the inspection was shown a map showing a line that put the development of Arbury and on Gypsy Lane as contribution to the funding of development in the south of the borough. This is grossly unfair. We are getting a massive amount of development in the north of the borough, and we have areas like Camp Hill, which have got absolutely not a mention of Camp Hill in this document, and it's an area where sporting facilities could actually reduce crime and disorder. As mentioned in the beginning of the report, good sports facilities have crime and disorder implications, positive ones. So I think we need to look at this again and make sure we're actually funding development where it's needed, either from the point of view of places like Camp Hill that have got nothing, or places like Galley Common, Wellington and St Nicholas that have very little provision at the moment and are really being unfairly treated by the way funding's been allocated at the moment. I say we brought up the map of sporting facilities funding at the borough plan. There was a beautiful map with a line putting the Arbury developments in the south of the borough and putting Gypsy Lane developments in the south of the borough. So Gypsy Lane, which is a short cycle ride or walk into the Pingles, is going to apparently fund Bedworth swimming pool. This is unreasonable. Thank you, Chair.
Any questions to Councillor Kondaka? If not, thank you very much. Could I just say, first of all, that I think this document has got some fantastic ideas for the future. I think there's been a lot of hard work done by the Working Party and the officers, led by Kevin, in relation to this. We are in a situation where funding has been dramatically cut to this council, along with other local authorities, and to even be thinking about these sort of possibilities is real credit to the people concerned. As a councillor for Camp Hill for the last however many years, I would like to say that the people of Camp Hill were extremely pleased when a community facility, which includes sporting possibilities in the gym, was built at the chess centre. The best centre that has ever been built, I believe, in the north of the county in terms of having some facilities. What the pity is that the county council who manage it have managed to shut it for most of the time that the general population is around. So on many evenings people can't access it, facilities have closed within it, and this is not the way forward. Once facilities are built as a result of new housing, and the new housing is bringing new facilities, then those facilities need to be open to the public and not closed, such that we go back to square one without having reasonable facilities. But I would stress this is Nuneaton and Bedworth. We have been a borough since 1974. We have been able to produce things because we've worked together. We've only been able to put fantastic facilities like the new Pingles into this borough because of working together, having that population of over 100,000, being able to do something in one part of the borough at one part of the year and doing something in the other part of the borough. So we don't split the borough up in terms of it being Nuneaton and Bedworth. The distance, in actual fact, is very small between Nuneaton and Bedworth. We have a lot of facilities in the centre now, and this is the way forward. The way forward is not to start saying, well, this is just for Nuneaton and this is just for Bedworth. My neighbour, who's passed away not very long ago, used to go to the Civic Hall. I never heard her mention the words Bedworth Civic Hall. As far as she was concerned, it was our Civic Hall, even though it was in the other part of the borough. And similarly, people in Bedworth, and I know that one of the councillors sitting here, regular visitors to the Pingles, which is in Nuneaton. So let's stop all nonsense about Nuneaton or Bedworth. This is Nuneaton and Bedworth. Councillor Lloyd.
Yeah, interesting. It's called infrastructure. You know, that thing that certain councillor in here from the opposition has been screaming for a long time. Unfair is another word. Well, it'd be unfair that you stuck everything in the north of Nuneaton. That would be unfair. Let me just point out to people in the room, I regularly go to take my grandson and granddaughters to the Bedworth swimming pool on a Saturday morning. I regularly see councillors from Borough. I see other councillors from Nuneaton, I'm not going to mention who they are, with their children or grandchildren at Bedworth swimming pool. Just because people live in Nuneaton, we can't assume they only use Nuneaton swimming pool. They don't. They use Bedworth swimming pool as well, and vice versa. I regularly used Nuneaton gym. The reason I use Nuneaton gym is quite simple. It's a short walk across from the town hall. I also use Bedworth gym. So it's, you know, it's not, people don't just go to where you think they're going to go to. They go all across the borough to use facilities. There's a lot of facilities going in the north of the borough when that school goes in. There's opportunities for facilities to go into other areas in Nuneaton and Bedworth. Because we've drawn a line and said some of this development should fund that and some of this development should fund that area, that's why we do it. So we make sure we get a spread right away across the borough of new or extended, should I say, facilities. Because let's remember, it's a lot of it, the developer money is there to expand the facilities that we've got currently, because there's more people coming into the borough. So that's what the development money's paying for, is the expansion of those facilities, the expansion of Nuneaton swimming baths by 2 lanes, I think it is, or 4, I can't remember now. The expansion of Bedworth swimming baths, or the redevelopment of Bedworth swimming baths, or relocation of Bedworth swimming baths. There's a number of options there, and that's what the feasibility study is about. I think, actually, these documents are logic, they are sound, and they are fair to the whole of the borough, not just one area of the borough, as Councillor Kandaka would want. I can't blame him, he's a ward councillor for over that area, but I wouldn't do that. I've not shouted I wanted everything for Camp Hill. I think Camp Hill's had a great deal over the years and has got a great deal to offer, and still has. But at the end of the day, as I say, it's about sharing those facilities across the borough, or if you put them all in one area, then you have, in one area of the borough, you'll have a larger burden from the people that are coming into the borough, because they'll be using those facilities that are in that area. So it's about spreading the opportunities across the borough, and I think this document does it. I think it's an excellent piece of work, and without it, let me tell you, there'd be nothing, because this is what brings the money in, because government ain't going to give it. They're squeezing. So without this document, the borough wouldn't have anything.
Councillor Arlington?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to reiterate really what you've both said in terms of the good piece of work that it actually is, and this is, as mentioned in the report, is a cross-party, cross-member working group. And I think that's a really good way of dealing with things like this, and also the work that Kevin and his team have actually undertaken, very detailed work that they've done. It's very easy to be parochial, Chair. It's very much more difficult to look across and see the wider picture. And I think that's probably the difference. The difference is that we here see the bigger picture. We see Nuneaton and Bedworth. Are we really saying that Bedworth swimming pool, which is currently in Bede, I think Bede Ward, does that mean that people from Exel can't use it, that people from Arbury can't use it, that people from Camp Hill can't? No, we're not saying that at all. We're saying it is a facility that the whole residency of Nuneaton and Bedworth and beyond, because I know people from Coventry that come into Bedworth to use the swimming pool. I'm sure people from North Warwickshire come in and use the Pingles in Nuneaton. We shouldn't be closing that off to anyone. You know, we have some fantastic leisure facilities, but they're fantastic at the moment. They do need upgrading. They do need work doing on them. We've got a brilliant passport to leisure for our under 16-year-olds within this borough, and I would like to say that we want not just limiting you have got to use Bedworth, you've got to use Nuneaton. I think it's absolutely shocking that someone would even suggest something like that, Chair.
That's
so I'm
what suggested.
Would you not shout out, Councillor? Nobody interrupted you.
Well, don't misquote.
Can I ask you not to shout out? Nobody interrupted you.
Thank you, Chair. So I'd just like to say that I'm more than happy to support this report. I think it's an excellent piece of work, and I think it will give every resident in Nuneaton and Bedworth the leisure provision that they need going forward for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, we've had this proposed by Councillor Lloyd. Is that seconded? Seconded. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. And can we thank the Working Party and Kevin's team for the work that's gone into this document? Thank you. There have been no recommendations from overview and scrutiny,
No, Chair.
and there are no other items, so I can thank everybody for their attendance and declare what I believe to be my last cabinet meeting closed. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks to Councillor Harvey. I'm sure members
Yeah,
would wish
move that.
that to occur.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
He gets embarrassed.